to remember those different groups. First two are mnemonic devices. The third one is a video that might be helpful. In fact, I think if you ask almost any 8th or 9th grader in this school, if they remember domain down to species, I bet almost all of them do. Almost all of them do. Ask, if you know an 8th grader, 9th grader, ask them if they remember. All right. What's that? She knows, I know. They're singing it this weekend. But the two A's, two mnemonic devices, two sentences that can help you. The first one's sort of the classic. Dear King Philip came over for great soup, or some people say spaghetti. So the first letter of each word stands for one of the taxa. Second sentence is a little bit more memorable maybe, but I don't really like it that much. It's not very nice. But dumb kids play catch on freeway. Goes flat.
Did you create this one?
No, I did not do it. So let's review what these words are, what they stand for. How about the D? Raise your hand, Sophia. Domain. How about the next one? No looking back either. How about the K, Brandon? Kingdom. What comes after kingdom? Right?
I was thinking of the one after that.
Okay. How about after kingdom?
What?
You just answered one, Sophia.
Phylum.
Phylum. Ryan?
Class.
Class? How about the O?
Ready to
Next? Order. How about after that? Freeway. Linda?
Family.
Family. Rosemary? Not Drew. Matt?
Is it the genus thing?
A genus. Again, it's genus, not like me, genius, but genus. And then the last group, Dan?
Species.
Species. Yep. So domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. From the very general domains with millions of species in 3 domains down to very, very specific at the species level. There are also groups in between these and groups below species, but these are the main ones. Now, if we think about humans, where do humans lie in this classification system? So, at the very top, domain. 3 domains: eukaryote, okay, prokaryote, and archaea. We are in the eukaryote domain. The organisms that have a nucleus and membrane-bound organelles inside of their cells. Kingdom, what do you think we are? Right? Animal. Animal kingdom. Within the animal kingdom, we kind of sometimes think of some big splits. So out of all animals, what's a big split in the animal kingdom? Well, even before that, there's something else. Insects belong in one split. Mammals belong in the other. What's the difference?
Backbone.
Tom? Backbone. Yeah, we are in the chordate phylum, which are the animals with basically backbone. No, not really. Then, out of all the chordates, right? Whatever. Then mammals, the mammal class. What type of mammal are humans? Anybody know?
Primates.
Yeah, good. Primates. Primates include apes, monkeys, lemurs, chimps. Yeah, primates. Now, from here on down, family, genus, species, humans are the only species in family Hominidae, only species that is in that family today. Genus, Homo, species, Sapiens. And that's where our binomial name comes from for our species, which is what?
Latin.
Homo sapiens, yes. Homo sapiens is a scientific name for humans. Linda?
Were there anyone else like before in that?
In Hominidae? Yeah, human ancestors. There were other ancestors of humans that were in that family, but they're no longer in that family.
What about like Sasquatches?
Sasquatch? I don't know exactly where the Sasquatch lies.
I was watching that show.
No, yeah, nor are mermaids. Did you watch like the mermaids, whatever show that was on?
Oh, I saw that show. That show was really weird.
All right. Now the other way to help you remember, actually they don't include domain here in this video. Domain is sometimes not included because it's like a newer category. Domain was created once scientists started to find that things they thought were all kind of bacteria are actually different, so they had to sort of split them off into their own domain. But anyway, this is the way most people, 8th and 9th graders, will remember the list.
In Mr. D class, we learned kingdom, table, against spaghetti. But we gonna do it a different way, like kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species.
All right, so there.
Again.
What's that?
I can't understand here in the beginning.
We'll watch at the end of class at a time.
Oh my god.
All right, so that can help you to remember the steps. So do you remember them all now?
No.
Kingdom? So it only takes once and you know them all now. All right. Binomial nomenclature. Let's just review here. I have 3 bears. A grizzly, polar bear, and a panda. Along with their binomial name, their scientific name. So if we think about these 3 types of bears, which are the most closely related? Julia? Polar bear and grizzly bear, why did you choose those 2? Yeah, by looking at their scientific name, you can tell they're both in the same what?
Fruit and genus.
Yeah, they're in the same genus. They're both in genus Ursus. What about the panda? Right?
They're in genus
Alarapoda. Yeah, they're in a separate genus. Okay? So by looking at their scientific names, we can tell a little bit about if they're closely related or not. The panda's still in the family Ursidae, the bear family, but in a separate genus from the grizzly and polar bear. Grizzlies and polars are very closely related. So we have some rules that we use when we write a scientific name. Okay? First off, the name is made up of the genus and the species. Genus is the first word of the scientific name, species is the second word. We also always capitalize the first letter of the genus and then lowercaseify the rest of it. Yeah. You have a problem with that word? Okay. So first letter of genus capitalized, everything else lowercaseify. It is now. Remember, English is a living language, not a dead language, so it's always evolving and changing. And so I just invented that word. If you choose to use it in the future, I've copyrighted it, so you owe me 25 cents per use. Feel free to send me a check or just bring in, the money at the end of the school year. Yes, ma'am.
How do you make a new word?
I just did. I just invented it. Yep. Well, my word actually has a definition, Sophia.
What's the definition?
Of lowercaseify, and it's the opposite of capitalized. So you capitalize a letter, well, I'm saying you lowercaseify it.
The opposite of capitalized to the
I don't believe there's any other word that means the word I just invented. So,
lowercase.
so if you're an English teacher, you can feel free to let them know about my new word so that they can use it in their everyday language. Just be sure to let them know that I copyrighted it and trademarked it and all that other stuff. Mrs. Julian, she probably would love that I'm thinking about the English language and using it creatively. I guarantee. Do you have English next?
No, I
All right, when you see Miss Julian, you tell her about my word.
write
See what she has to say. Lowercaseify. It's a verb meaning to write in lowercase letters. It is the opposite. It is the antonym. Say that, she'll be impressed. Of capitalize.
Okay. How do you spell lowercase?
Lowercassify.
That's how you were classified.
Good.
CL.
What?
You said CL, that would be lower classified.
Lowercaseify.
When you said L.
Caseify.
So
Lower case
case.
ify.
Yeah.
Lowercaseify.
CI.
Well, it depends on how you're using it. I can lowercaseify the words, or the letters have been lowercaseify. It's a past tense. All right. Anyway, let's move on to binomial nomenclature and say that when we write, we need to use italics when we write a scientific name. You know how to print in italics?
Yes.
Oh.
So kind of.
Wow.
I'm learning.
Is it possible?
Remember that one day
Yeah.
you told us to erase it, write it regular? I was already writing.
No, we can underline it if you're writing by hand. If you're typing it usually on the computer, then you use the little italics.
I just
bar.
under.
Yes, Brandon.
This is untitled.
I don't think so. That just looks
It just
messy.
goes downwards.
All right. So that's how we write scientific names. Kimberly.
I have to write italics in italics.
No, if you're typing it, write in italics. If not, underline. Tom, a question?
No.
Good. Thought it involved your bouncy ball again. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about species. So we've been talking about, a certain species, but what makes something, what defines a species? Like, is our horse and a zebra the same species? Our horse and a giraffe the same species?
Yeah.
Is a wolf and a dog the same species?
Yes.
I hear yes, I hear no, close. Is a Rottweiler and a Chihuahua the same species?
Yes.
Alright, so lots of disagreement here. So let's think about, so what is a species then?
A certain.
Okay. How do you know two animals that maybe look similar are the same species? Maybe? Well, if we don't know their names, I'm thinking biologically, like why would scientists say, yes, this is the species and this is also the same species? Well, not necessarily, because many different species still share a common ancestor. Abi?
They have the same traits.
They probably do, but does a Rottweiler and a Chihuahua have the same traits? Some, not others. In biology, we have what we call the biological species definition, which is that two organisms are the same species if they can reproduce, can interbreed. But I want you to add something, so start with that. A group of members that can interbreed. But that's not all. There's another part. And produce fertile offspring. We'll talk about why we have to add that, why we need that distinction. So, in thinking about it, is a Chihuahua and a Rottweiler, are they the same species?
No.
According to our definition.
Yes.
No. No.
Now, who's confident in their answer wants to tell me why? Sophia, what do you think?
Yes, because they can interbreed and they can make them, like, it would be a mixed dog.
Okay. Now, who says no and tell me your reasoning? Tom?
No, because if they
Mate?
mate, then they would make a hybrid.
Okay.
They mix.
It would be a Chihuahua.
They would make
What is, so what's a Labradoodle?
a lab.
A lab? A poodle. Okay. How about a golden doodle?
A golden retriever.
Okay. So, are breeds of dogs the same species?
Yes.
They are. Okay. And that's where these mixed breed dogs come from. You know, a Labradoodle is a lab and a poodle that have mated, produced puppies. Could those puppies then reproduce? Yeah, they are fertile as well. They can reproduce. And so, yeah, all dogs are the same species. They're different breeds, or maybe considered different subspecies, but they're all one species and they can interbreed freely. Okay? Yes, Chloe? What was the rest of the thing? And produce fertile young.
What's the difference of like a rabbit and then like a parrot breed?
A parrot?
Yeah, and a bird.
Okay.
Would that be? How would that not be a species?
So, yes.
They could.
So there are, so technically, when we talk about species, there's two things that could prevent different species from interbreeding. They're called prezygotic factors and postzygotic factors. Prezygotic meaning before a zygote is formed. So, which means, first of all, a parrot and what was it? A bunny. Okay. First of all, they have very different and distinct reproductive anatomy, which would not allow sperm to fertilize the egg. So it just doesn't sort of match up, you might say. That's one reason. Also, chromosome number. So all species have a certain number of chromosomes. And it varies from species to species. So if you have one species with a certain chromosome number, the sperm cell fertilizes an egg cell with a different chromosome number, the chromosomes don't match up, and the zygote that's formed never can grow and develop. Also, they don't live in the same areas. They don't mate at the same time of the year. They have different pheromones to attract mates. So it just doesn't happen for many reasons. But sometimes close related species can do the physical act of mating. But again, post-zygotic means after the sperm cell fertilizes the egg cell, it will not grow or develop for a host of reasons. It may not implant into the lining of the uterus properly and therefore can't grow into an actual offspring. So there's lots of different reasons why. But sometimes close related species can mate, can produce offspring, and we call these hybrids. Hybrids are offspring that are made from two different species. And again, they have to be pretty close related species. Can't be a parrot and a bunny.
So like a dog and a wolf maybe?
Okay, dog and a wolf is a good example. Separate species. They can mate though. They can produce hybrid offspring. Now, the difference though is those hybrid offspring usually cannot reproduce. They're infertile. They're called sterile. They can't reproduce on their own.
My dog was a mixed wolf and a dog.
Oh, really?
Seriously? Yeah, my badger.
Okay. So let me talk to you about some examples of hybrids. Okay. Probably the most common and one that's been produced by humans for thousands of years as a domestic work animal is taking a male donkey. A male donkey is called a jack. Its scientific name is called Equus asinus. So you see, combine its name with its species name, and you see where that word comes from. A female horse, okay, it's called a mare. It's the scientific, the binomial name is Equus caballus. Now, closely related?
Yeah.
Yeah, same genus, just different species, and they can mate. Okay, they can produce offspring. That offspring, what's it called, right? Yeah, it's a mule. A mule is a hybrid offspring. Okay, it's a strong animal. It's used as a pack animal to carry things, for plowing and so forth. It's been used on farms and agriculture for a long time. But mules can't reproduce. Mules are sterile. The only place new mules come from is by donkeys and horses mating. So, is a donkey and horse the same species? No, because they don't fit the full definition. They can mate and produce offspring, but the offspring are not fertile themselves. So
You can write those plus the dog.
no, you can just write donkey plus horse equals
Wait,
mule.
so the breeding species can't reproduce.
No, the hybrid species can't reproduce.
Even. Wait.
The mule, you can't take a male mule and a female mule and make them together. They don't reproduce. They don't produce offspring.
Would you say a mule's extinct?
No, no. Because there's lots of horses and donkeys that can be bred together. Jimmy?
If there's a male donkey and female horse, could it be female
Yes.
donkey?
Yeah, it can be reversed as well. Tom?
Okay, so how is a griffin made?
A griffin?
Yes.
Well, generally mythological creatures don't fall into the same biological rules that actual real animals do. Sorry, Tom. All right, another example of a hybrid. A false killer whale, Pseudoorca crasidens, and a bottlenose dolphin, Tursiops truncatus. They, although they're not in the same genus, they can produce offspring. They produce what's called a wholphin. And you're going to see as we go through these hybrids, generally the name of the hybrid is taken from the male's first part of his name, whale, combined with the second part of the female's name, dolphin, where you get the wholphin.
Wait, what if we made it a narwhal and a horse? Would that be a unicorn?
Sure, yes, that's where unicorns come from. Okay? A male lion and a female tiger, Panthera leo, Panthera tigris,
Lighter.
form pretty much my favorite animal, a liger.
Wait, what does it look like?
That's a liger.
Does it look like?
It looks like it's a hybrid. It has characteristics of each. The other thing you'll notice is the size. Often these hybrids are much larger than either of the parent species. It's called hybrid vigor. It means that they're very large and strong.
So can we reproduce?
Nope, ligers are infertile as well.
Do they look? It looks more like a panther or something.
Yeah, it's sort of, they don't look, you know.
That looks like a giant dog.
And the other thing is, ligers will vary depending on which genes they got from the tiger and which they got from the lion. There's a lot of variability there.
Maybe how powerful? I want to pet liger.
I don't know. A zebra, a male zebra, Equus zebra, and a female horse, Equus caballus, form a zorse. Zorses have sort of unique banding patterns. Sometimes they have stripes on part of their body and not the other. They're kind of interesting. Now, these hybrids, they're all happen in captivity, in zoos and places like that. Because in real life, in nature, you know, there's a whole host of reasons why zebras and horses, they don't live in the same areas. They don't generally meet each other. They're not attracted to each other. They don't mate together. And so this generally only happens in zoos when people actually have them in certain places. Yep, Tom?
What is that animal called that has like 3 legs and it's real, but it's like a horse but has zebra?
I know what you're talking about.
It's like a deer and a zebra and a horse.
Oh, it's something else.
It's a hybrid? Ocelot?
No. It's like OPA. I don't know. Yeah, Okapi.
I don't know what that is. It's a hybrid or it's a
It's like
species?
an animal.
I think it's a species.
All right, here's some more examples.
What is it?
These are all hybrids. Okay? These are, this is a sheep goat. This is a savanna cat. Okay?
What is that?
This is a zebroid.
What's a zebra?
A zebroid is a cross between a zebra and some equine, some horse-like parent. And this is a beefalo. I'll show you some more.
What's the bear?
A beefalo, what do you think? Buffalo and a cow. This is a leopon. It's a leopard crossed with a lion. Oh, these are real.
Actually, that was cool.
A savannah cat is a wild serval crossed with a domestic, like house cat. Okay?
This is Russ.
I don't know, are they? I've never heard of that. Savannah cat's illegal? Interesting. Peter?
Are water buffaloes made when buffaloes make water?
No. And this is a stuffed animal, just FYI. Yeah, Chloe?
Why are their ears so big?
That's just, those are the characteristics they take on. That probably comes from the serval parent genes. Tom?
Well, how do you make those things that like have force and the guy has a body? Or he has
Oh, like a minotaur?
Yeah.
Again, Tom. The rules apply to actual living creatures, not mythological beasts.
Centaur's big.
Right? A donkey and a zebra?
Oh my god, it's so small. So cute.
I'm curious.
They eat it really big too.
A sheepgoat? Orange the goat of Botswana?
It's so cute. It's so long. I know.
A beefalo? Buffalo and cow hybrid? What?
Can it produce
It has fat.
If a female could, probably. The males can be used for meat generally. I mean, what? I don't know. Depends on which genes it inherits from each parent. All right.
I like this. It's kind of quadruple chin.
All right. So that's a camel.
Camel?
Llama.
Yeah. Camel llama. So basically it's a llama.
It's a comma.
All right. Let's move on here.
Punctuation.
All right. First off, disclaimer. I'm not sure why this gentleman is wearing no clothes. Feel free to draw some shorts and maybe a tank top on or something. I don't know why the fish is biting him. Or the bird is pecking at his head. The mouse is kind of saying, what's going on here? And the snake is avoiding eye contact. So it's a strange picture.
I don't want to know.
But anyway,
What does a fish do?
I don't know. Don't ask, Tom. Don't ask. So anyway, all of these species, no matter how creepy they seem to be arranged, what kingdom do they all belong in? Yes, this is the animal kingdom. All right, let's go clockwise. The radish and flowers and tree and cactus. Plants. I've been called this before, right?
Oh god.
Yeah. Now this top one you may not be familiar with at all. Nate?
Bacteria.
No, these aren't bacteria. They're larger than bacteria, but they are single celled. See? No? Yes? Protists. These are protists. It's actually going to be the next section of our unit is all about protists. And then this last, there's two actually. Dan?
Archaea and bacteria.
Yeah, bacteria and archaea. And we'll talk about what those things mean in probably tomorrow. Because they're both microscopic organisms. Can't really drop. What video? Kingdom Final Class? Okay, we'll see. We have to finish the next two slides on. All right. So what makes one organism belong in one of those kingdoms? What are the actual characteristics that scientists look at to classify them? Three main things. First is the cell. Some cell. Now, when we talk about cells, we always drew cells with a nucleus, and mitochondria, and chloroplast, and so on. But some cells are different. They're much simpler. So the words we have are prokaryote and eukaryote. The prefix pro means what? If you read a book, where's the prologue? It's in the beginning, like before the actual book starts. Pro means before. The prefix eu means true. And the root karyote meaning having to do with the nucleus. So a prokaryote means what? Before nucleus. These are very small, very simple cells that have no nucleus. Their DNA is just kind of spread throughout the cytoplasm. They have no nuclear membrane yet, which means there's no distinct nucleus. They still have DNA, but it's just sort of floating in the cytoplasm. They also don't have other membrane-bound organelles like ER, Golgi bodies, mitochondria, chloroplasts. They're very simple. Eukaryotes are the cells that we talked about. They're more complex. They have a nucleus. They have membrane-bound organelles. The DNA is in there, but it's surrounded by the nuclear membrane. So that's one factor we look at. Do the cells contain a nucleus or not? Next, we look at the number of cells that make up the organism. All organisms are either unicellular or multicellular. Unicellular meaning single cell, or multicellular meaning many cells. And then the last thing we look at is how do they get energy? Organisms either autotroph or heterotroph. Some are both. Brandon, what's autotroph? Yeah, they make food on their own. Through what process? Generally photosynthesis. There's some other ways, but photosynthesis, such as grass and flowers and plants. And what's a heterotroph then?
Has to get food from others.
Yeah, it's to eat other organisms to make food, to get energy. It helps you remember that H and heterotroph, like these things, have to hunt to find something to eat in order to get energy. They can't just make it on their own. So those are the three categories we look at to assign things to one kingdom or the other.
Finish the video.